Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Hey everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We are thrilled to death that you are listening to our show.
Yes.
Today.
This
day happens to be a very sunny and already warm and a little bit sultry
I think
Saturday morning.
I feel the vapors.
I feel the vapors. Oh, they're getting to me. But not for everybody. And by not for everybody, I mean our illustrious guests, plural guests. Guests, who are you?
I'm Markus Reeves.
And I'm Izzy Reeves.
And we're Reeves Electro.
Yay.
All right. Officially a team. I like it.
And it's raining.
And it's,
Of course.
It's raining. Is it hot rain?
Well, where are you calling from?
Britain in the summer.
Ah, yes.
Okay.
So, no surprises.
Are you, and so people can imagine a very crude map. Whereabout in Britain are you?
Right in the navel.
Okay.
Basically, right in the middle of the belly of England.
I got
right
you.
in the centre.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. And you're calling from your shop, which both of you are working in, and that really is the big story that we're going to be getting to, ladies and gentlemen, because you've heard Markus on the show before. You no doubt are familiar with the incredible pedals he's been building in the last couple of years. And now we've got a new branch coming off, and we're very excited to hear about what's going on and what Izzy has to do with it.
Should be good.
Yes, indeed. Now, before we get going, where can people go to check out the wares that you make?
Okay, well, we've got reeveselectro.co.uk is our website, and also Instagram at Reeves Electro is where I post a couple of times a day. That's really where you want to get the latest kind of information. That's that.
Have you had to hire somebody to handle your new Threads account?
Oh, man, I did.
Why?
I did a couple of days and then got bored. I no, I've never Twittered. And I'm not really going to thread either, I don't think.
Yeah. I think that's a euphemism in England. But anyways.
Yes, it probably is.
No, us either. But it was one of those things. It's like, okay, well, based on what happens in social, it's like, I guess I got to attempt this and see what happens. And, and then I got a couple posts up on Guitar Knobs as well as Flint Electronics and the Valentinos, and I'm just like, all right. Anyways, so that was that.
I
don't know that I'll be spending much time on there.
No.
Anyhow, we've got a couple of announcements real quick. First of all, we have mentioned we've got some fantastic guests lined up.
Yes, we do.
I mentioned that on the last one. No doubt you have already heard the episode with Copper Sound about DIY breadboarding and pedal building and all that kind of stuff. And so we encourage you, please go get yourself some of that action.
That's
it's
right.
Really, really good stuff.
Their gear's stellar, I have to say. Yeah.
Will we have given away the prizes by this time?
That's a good question. I think... No, we wouldn't. If you're listening now, which would have been a week after we did that episode, no, we will not have given it away yet. So there might still be time. I can't guarantee that, but there might still be time for that giveaway. But that is only for our Patreon supporters. So
yes,
our grand poobahs and our executive producers.
So it would make sense, if they haven't already gone over to patreon.com, to go over to patreon.com and be eligible for one of two special prize giveaways.
And eligible for things that we're working towards in the late summer and fall and winter and stuff, because there's going to be a lot more.
Oh, yes.
All right. This is a great little message that we got from our new executive producer, Christopher Logan.
Oh, yeah.
It says, hey, guys, I've been listening to you for about a year, and to show my appreciation for all you do by supporting the podcast, you can keep it going. I've been playing guitar for a number of years and got my start in high school a long, long time ago, playing in a jazz band. As a casual player, I still enjoy playing jazz, but also rock, surf rock, and ambient. And he says, below, and these are my answers to your questions, because everybody that joins, we ask them a whole bunch of questions. Says, my main gear, I have a few guitars, but my favorite is the Fender Baja Telly Butterscotch that my better half gifted me for my birthday a few years back. I primarily play through a Fender Mustang GTX 100.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually had one of those.
Yeah,
at
I
one
know.
point
I
in time.
remember that.
I have a diverse collection of pedals, which I just put into a Fender pedal board. Thanks to the mention for a few shows back, it is my first real pedal board and had so much fun building it out. Okay, as I mentioned before, so this is parentheses, I'm stepping aside here, diversion. We've crafted a something to secure your power supply in the new Fender pedal boards. If you are having trouble with your power supply slipping around under the brace, give me a holler, because we came up with a really fantastic solution for that. Okay. Also, my favorite part of the show is hard to choose. I honestly look forward to each part, as they always include interesting stories from everyone's week in music to Four on the Floor to a variety of interesting guests, like our guests today. I enjoy hearing all about the makers out there. Lastly, each show includes at least a couple of laugh out loud moments for me.
Yeah.
There we go. Mission accomplished. All right. Well, hey, Christopher Logan, thank you so much for that note, and thank you for supporting our show. It truly means a lot to us and absolutely helps us out in so many ways.
Yes.
Okay, on to what's going on in our music world this week. The lovely,
Yes.
the sweaty.
Not today.
Well, it's human. I see you're glowing on your face, so I'm calling it sweaty.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm glowing.
Yes. The early rising Tanya Blonsky.
Yes. Early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy and wealthy and wise.
Yes.
But that's neither for me. So this week, couple things. Just this morning, I brought in a replacement Gibson Les Paul custom telephone. Our good friend Jared.
We will take a picture of that.
Yeah, I did. I sent it to you.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, of course I
Check
did.
that out.
I
All
already
right.
did it.
Okay.
Post that thing.
I will post that thing.
So it's kind of cool. It's an old telephone from the probably 80s, maybe, I guess. And Jared had one, and it was a gift from his mom, so he really wanted it back. So I found a replacement one on eBay for a very reasonable price, and so it's now back to part of the studio landscape here. So there's that. I was surprised this morning. I was opened up my Instagram feed, and there was a picture of Jeff Tweedy from Wilco playing a Jaguar and with a guard that I had made for Jeff about, 15, 16 years ago.
Wow.
So that was kind of cool. I'm glad that he still has that one. It's an old, I think it was a mid-60s Jag that he wanted with just a single humbucker. So it was a black guard and I'm just happy that he's still playing that particular guitar. He must like it.
Fantastic.
So, and then thirdly, I was perusing the latest issue of Vintage Guitar Magazine, the August 23 issue, with Steve Lukather on the cover. And there's an article, and you know what a nut I am about trainer amps. Mm-hmm. And there is a Dave Hunter did a story or a
Trainer, and for those that may not know, because it's not as common as we often talk about, Trainer, TRAYNOR,
yeah,
from Canada.
Canada, yeah, they were
specifically the because they did some reissues, but we're talking about the older ones.
These are the older ones from
Yeah.
the 60s and maybe into the 70s a little bit. But anyhow, there is an article on the Trainer YGM4 Studio Mate. And what really piqued my interest is I actually had one of these amps. It is basically a 15-watt 2EL84 or 6BQ5A if you're in the U.S. What's really cool about it is, it doesn't have your typical speaker arrangement. it has 4 8-inch speakers. And the theory, I guess, in reading the article,
Is it a guitar amp or is it a bass amp?
You could probably
I know
use,
because a lot of them both went kind of like...
Yeah, the Studio Mate, I guess, was really designed to be used in the studio because a lot of musicians of the day in the 60s and 70s would use, something like a Fender Champ or something like that had an 8-inch speaker.
Right.
That's what actually made it onto the record. So I guess...
Does it have a big cab?
Does it have a what?
Is the cab quite big?
Well, you could easily fit a single 12 or maybe 2 10s diagonally.
Yeah.
So,
because that's generally what lends more to the bass response than or helps towards it than the size of the speakers. Because I've got a 210
yeah,
Fender Super, and it kills on the bass.
Yeah. Well, what's cool about this is it does have a sealed back, and I do remember that for a live sound, the 8-inch speakers weren't really bassy. But I think if you mic'd them like you would in a studio, you'd end up with the same thing. But I also remember that it had a really killer tremolo, and it also had a reverb tank in it too. But coming off of our Vox episode a couple episodes ago, you would think with the arrangement and everything that it would be closer to a Vox in nature, but it sounded more like a Fender, and based on what our friend Rob had talked about, there's negative feedback loop or something like that that is common in Fenders, and that helps provide more clean headroom. And so it was a pretty clean sounding amp, as I remember. Probably wish I had that one again, but as is often the case, you trade and buy and sell, and
nice one,
Tony. and then regret.
Yes.
So, but anyhow, pick that. There's a couple of really good articles in here, but this one really caught my attention. So,
well, and on your note about the Vox episode, we've got another 101 scheduled coming up. Not right on the heels of this. We're gonna give it a little bit of time, but it's all about Marshall.
Marshall.
Yeah, that should be really, really fun.
And that's not Eminem you're talking about, is it?
Right. No.
Nor is it Marshall Crenshaw.
Yeah. So let's check in with Markus and Izzy. Izzy, why don't you go first?
What have you been up to this week?
Oh, this week. Plenty of Darlington Flyers.
Yes, and we'll get into introducing those in just a little bit. What are you listening to these days, Izzy?
Listening to. I mean, this week I've listened to a lot of the Smashing Pumpkins. So I think it's Siamese Dream.
Oh,
Is that the album name? Yeah. Yeah, that's been my favorite this week for sure.
Well, you just struck a chord with me, because that is that is one of the most important albums to me ever. Period. End of story.
I kind of like Melancholy and the Infinite.
Well,
Sadness.
you would. But Izzy, check this out. I just was at a friend of mine whose name is Mark, and he has a rather incredible collection.
He's called Mark.
He's called Mark. What? What did I say?
You said his name is.
What is that?
We're talking to people that are British.
Okay, he's
you
called
would say
Mark.
he's
whatever.
called Mark. My friend called Mark.
My friend called Mark. Jeez. Anyway, so he had a bunch of them pulled out, and what happens is, like, I'll go over to his house and we'll just like hang out, and he'll pull out all kinds of old records and weird stuff. And he said, "I think you'll like this," and he pulls out the first. I don't know if it was what would be termed as the first pressing, but it was the special pressing of the first round of Siamese Dream. That it was in pink and orange swirl vinyl. Yeah, and it was. I really wanted to go home with that.
Hey, what's that over there?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah. What?
Oh, sorry, the stream broke up a bit there then. So.
Oh yes, as it does. And then Markus, for you, at that same instance, he also I mentioned on the recent episode that he gave me I guess would it be PR notes, the radio release notes or whatever.
Yeah.
For the Stone Roses first release, and so he let me keep those, which is really cool. But he also had a early, very first UK pressing of their self-titled album, and that is
brilliant. You can't go wrong with that album, can you? Really?
No, absolutely not. I'm a big fan of that. Anyways, so Markus, how about yourself?
What have I been listening to? Well, musically, it's been a blur this week, actually, to be a complete blur. Obviously Blur have released a new album, which I've been kind of getting into, the Ballad of Darren. That's pretty cool. They seem to be on an absolute, they've literally taken off where they left or started where they left off, really. There doesn't seem to be, it seems really seamless. Their creativity is still there, their kind of sense of fun and all that stuff. Great guitar tone. So, yeah, great. And a bit of Paul Weller, really. Nice. Always goes down well for me. So
can't beat the Mod Father.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Other than that, what else have I been doing? I've been cranking my Emprise amplifier, twin tweed super.
Wow.
Oh, whoa. Okay, back that up. Emprise
amplifiers. If you don't know them, check them out. They're a UK manufacturer, small, one guy, all point to point. Does his versions of old Fender. He does some Marshall-y stuff as well, but mostly Fenders. And he skirts between tweed through a brown panel and early sort of silver face kind of stuff. This is a 2x10 tweed super.
Ooh.
So it's like half a Bassman, basically. So it's a 35 watt 2x10 in a biggish cab.
That sounds pretty awesome.
It's a great little amp. It skirts between like a 5E3 Tweed Deluxe, which has basically got one volume, and then it just gets more distorted, basically, and like a Bassman, which is kind of nearly all clean headroom until you really crank it, and it kind of just sits in the middle where it's got quite dynamic, but the way it drifts into drive is much smoother, and I've been having a lot of fun with that.
Now, you're playing live with that one?
Not at the moment. No, I've just been cranking it this week, and I've not really got a live setup at the moment. Actually, I haven't been gigging for a little while. So, but that's the plan, because it's pulling me towards making some phone calls and getting the band back together.
Yeah. Now, are you familiar with the 10-inch speaker setup? Is that something you're comfortable with, or is this sort of a new thing for you?
It's new to me. Yeah, I'm usually I've usually used 12s. That's usually my kind of go-to. But the original. So Joe Bonamassa has just released his Fender Tweed reissue, the thing with the chrome stripe down the middle.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, this is the Fender's next iteration of that amplifier.
Okay.
So the twin 10s is, it's obviously, and his version's got twin 10s as well. So I was like, yeah, I'll have a go at that. If it's good enough for that fella,
Yes. So what kind of speakers are in the amp?
I've got Ted Weber. Oh crikey! Whatever their Jensen PQ 10R, I think. So whatever the Jensens that they put in the original Tweeds, it's Ted Weber's version of that.
Those are Alnico, right?
Alnico, yeah, and just voiced to be a vintage Alnico
That sounds like a killer amp. That
it
just
is
sounds
absolutely
fantastic.
Yeah. I had there's a UK blues player called Ainsley Lister who came over and who actually has purchased my VW camper van from me this week. So that's another thing I've been doing this week.
Fantastic. Ainsley Lister is arguably the most British name I've ever heard in my whole life.
Yes, very, yeah.
The third.
The third.
Yeah. He told me a story, actually. When he started gigging, he went to get... There was a time when he went to get paid, and the guy said, "Yeah, I'll pay you, but I need you. What's your real name?" And he was like, "It's Ainsley Lister." And the guy was like, No, that's your stage name. Don't kid me. What's your real name?" And he's like, "No, Ainsley Lister." And the guy wouldn't believe. He had to come back the next day with his passport to get paid. Yeah,
but
because he thought it was some rock and roll.
Wasn't that the whole thing back in like the late 60s and early 70s where a lot of these guys were adopting like stage names because the taxation was like was really brutal, and they were
absolutely
that was like the whole genesis of that, as I recall.
Yeah, and also dodging so they could stay on Social Security as well, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's another story. That's another dodge that I don't know anything about.
The dole.
The dole, yeah, that's it.
I watch movies. It's cool.
Yeah.
What about you, Todd? What's going on in your musical world this week?
I mentioned I just picked up that Ibanez 89 from 1983, and I was trying to dial that into the HX Stomp, see if I could get close to that. It's way easier just using the pedal.
Yeah.
But I'm also trying to be economic with what I'm using for live situation, and I love the sound of that, so I might just put that after the Stomp. But anyway, so that's I was up at stupid hours for whatever reason. I decided at 12 o'clock, you know what I should do? I should get into the Helix and try to decide if I can get this. That was dumb. So
12 hours later.
A little bit late. It's actually extremely easy to mess around with. But in bigger news, I don't think I've really talked too much about this, and I am going to be putting out a series of videos back to back in quick succession to show the experience. But Chase and I have been we've been putting Vinny on a diet. Now, for those of you who don't know what Vinny is my custom design guitar that I had Chase Gullett build for me, and of Gullett guitars. And if you don't know those, go look them up. They're incredible. Gullett Guitar Co. And I said I was playing a Les Paul special double cut, and I really love that, but it was like a little too light. It was like kind of flippy floppy a little bit, and I'm playing around, and I just wanted something with a little bit. I just wanted something different, a little bit more more weight, less round in areas. So I created this design that I have. And he said, "Well, how heavy do you want this?" I said, "Man, I want this thing to be like good and heavy."
Good and heavy.
And he literally found the heaviest piece of African mahogany that he could find. And then I realized this is a bad idea about a year and a half into gigging. So much to his chagrin, I said, "Hey, we gotta drop some weight on this thing," and it killed him. But it's been a fun experience actually doing this, and we've been making choices on like what do we try to gloss over, what do we try to like make new, what do we leave. We had it on the bench and it got a couple extra nicks and stuff, and he's like, "Oh man, I'm so sorry." I'm like, no, dude, this is the journey. I want this on the guitar. Don't touch it. Don't try to fix it. Just let it be. And so we've been dropping. There was so much wood on the floor. I can't believe how many just the sheer amount of shavings that came out of the back of this guitar is ridiculous.
Have you chambered it? Or just been carved?
So it's flat on both sides, fortunately, or else this would have been a real nightmare. It's not a carved top. But we set it down, and I can't remember the name of the drill. It's the one that did
Forstner bit.
Forstner bit.
Yeah.
So we have just been taking, circle-sized chunks out of the back.
Okay. Yeah.
But it was neat because, I said, don't just make it all symmetrical because it's a symmetrical guitar. Because I didn't want it to be like a top flop, and want to kind of keel over from the top end. So we said, all right, let's balance the weight so it's more is on the bottom of the guitar, if you have it on your neck, and more is weighted towards the control area. And, once we started pulling that stuff out, it was making me nervous because I'm like, if we pull out too much and now it neck dives or something like that. And we got it to where we were just about ready. And I said, all right, let me put this on. We put the strap locks back on, and I hung it. And it was like it was on a guitar stand, like that you would go up and play. I couldn't believe the balance on it was just absolutely perfect.
Yeah, you're going to rename it now, the Chiropractor Light.
Well, you didn't know this, but I called Chase and I asked him to fill that cavity up with lead. So.
Oh, perfect. Yes, lovely. So anyways, we put a cap on the back, and now we're going to get it painted up this weekend. And
nice.
And we're gonna let some of the history of what we did show, and it should be really cool. I'm hoping to have it for our gig August 12th. So.
Nice.
Yes. Anyhow, onward and upward, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, speaking of pedals.
Yes. What?
That was a bit left field, isn't it?
Izzy, I know you have an extensive pedal collection, so I'm going to suggest to you that in order to link all of those up, because I know you have a rather impressive pedal board for your live stage shows. Tour Gear Designs makes incredible patch cables that are extremely low profile.
Yes.
So they work with your top mounted jacks and your power supplies and doesn't get all bogged up back there.
The cable itself is flat.
It's flat, so it bends correctly. It doesn't produce kinks. And also, they come in different shapes, such as an S. So you would go a top mount into a side mount, or vice versa. Or C-shaped, so you can go top to top. It's great. And all kinds of different lengths. If this sounds exciting to you, ladies and gentlemen, go to tourgeardesigns.com, load up a bunch of these things in your cart, because you will need more of them, and enter the guitar knobs into the coupon code. You're going to save 10%.
10%
on these incredible cables.
10%.
Yeah. And they Markus, you got some of those, didn't you?
I think I have some somewhere. Yeah.
They ship worldwide.
They
Perfect.
do. Yeah, absolutely. Even to the Queen's England.
Yes. That's in the world.
That's
I believe
at the moment.
Didn't Dr. No order some of these as well? When he was
Yes.
He might have. He might have.
Dr. Yes. He said yes when he got it.
Yes.
All right. So, anyways, thank you to Tour Gear Designs for sponsoring our 4 on the Floor.
Let me get a little bit of this.
1, 2, 3. 4 on the floor. All right. Markus Reeves of Reeves Electro.
Yes.
Give us your 4 on the floor again.
4 on the floor. Right. So, it's changed. I can't remember what my choices were last time. I think the broadcast was in there. That's been kicked out now. Not because I don't like it, just because I change it all the time, to be honest. So I've got a couple of fuzzes. The first one that I really need to pick out is the R2R Mark II tone bender, R2R electric. You've had Chris on the show, haven't you?
Yeah, twice.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just had, he just made me one. I love that. That is one of my favorites.
It's killer. I actually share this pedal with TPS.
Yeah.
Because Chris was gracious enough to send one over to me to take down to the guys at TPS, and they played it for a while. And
that pedal show for those who are in the inner circle.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. And I've got it up here at the moment. I'm taking it back down probably in a couple of weeks when I go see Mick and Dan. Flawless. Honestly, I mean, it's as close, I think, as you'll get to, the Mark IIs that Jimmy Page and Jeff Beck played. To be honest, I don't think it's going to be much different to that. Absolutely killer pedal.
And a totally great dude. I mean,
Chris is just a legend. Yeah, we talk most days, to be honest. So absolutely.
Well, next time you do, tell him hi from us, okay?
Shall do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have a little pedal builders inner circle, a chat group on Instagram called the 9 Volt Nation.
Nice.
And we often, there's often all sorts of stuff going backwards and forwards there, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, I digress. Number 2, another fuzz, the Greer Super Hornet.
Oh yeah. I have that.
It's just literally a grin pedal, isn't it? It just has that grin factor. It's Nick Greer. It's his copy of the Fox Tone Machine, which is a upper octave Octavia type fuzz. But his take on it is that the upper octave it comes on there's a momentary foot switch, and you can set that momentary foot switch so you step on it and the upper octave comes in, and you step off it and it goes off again. So you can kind of stutter the upper octave, and it's just brilliant. Or you can set it so that it's on all the time, like an original Fox Tone Machine. And
it's really cool, especially if you're doing a little bit of fiddly bits and you need to make something kind of stand out or make it more interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would, Todd, if you haven't tried this, try putting if you've got a muff that's got a big muff that's got a mids control on it of some sort, put that in front of it. You might have to kind of set the tone on the Greer Super Hornet a little bit lower because it will get a bit sparkly, but put that in front of it and push the Greer pedal really hard with the muff. And have the octave on. It's a fuzz tone to destroy destroyers, basically. Yeah, it's absolutely. I did a reel a couple of probably about 18 months ago with it, about 10 seconds, and it just everyone was like, "Whoa, what's that?" So try it. Put a big muff in front of it.
Yeah, I can. I'll definitely give that a shot. That's too cool. What's number 3?
Number 3, there's a UK builder called JSA Effects, Just Another Effect. He's a really cool guy, and he builds a lot of pedals, but everything he builds, he will put the schematic, and he's very original. He takes his kind of take on set circuits and really tears them apart. And goes in and does lots of interesting things, puts charge pumps in, and I can get really technical, but he makes discrete op amps instead of op amps, which is, in layman's terms, you have an op amp, which is like a little amplifier in one little chip, and it has lots and lots of things going on inside it. What he does is he kind of takes that circuit and then builds that as a circuit using resistors and capacitors and transistors within the instead
a deconstructed op amp.
Yeah, and if you hear exactly. So if you hear the word discrete op amp, that's what that means.
Okay,
that's actually a deconstruct. Like that's a really good description of it. Actually, deconstructed op amp. Yeah.
Well, you can use that. Go ahead. It's fine.
Thank you. I've written it down. I'm off to the trademarks office.
There you go. Hurry along.
So it looks like he rather unapologetically is doing. He's not trying to say, "Hey, I've done something and tweaking it and made some kind of fantastic new thing out of it." I mean, the boxes are relatively naked with some label tape on it, and
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Kind of reminiscent of the not the Shinny, but the guy who does all in the Japan that does all the Dumbly stuff.
Oh yeah,
the boxes.
Yeah, I can't remember his name either. I know who you mean. But yeah, so he does, and his pedals are just brilliant. Really, he takes kind of the whole idea of, headroom and the charge pumps and all those sort of things. So, internally, so the pedal that I've got here is called a FET breaker. And so he took the blues breaker, the Marshall blues breaker pedal, and designed it with FET transistors instead, which I won't go into the technicalities of that, but it's basically just they're more powerful, cleaner. They're almost more hi-fi amplifiers, to be honest. But he kind of just stripped it apart and said he's got a very broad way of thinking about taking these circuits on, and this FET breaker it's just such a great little overdrive. The blues breaker is good, but it kind of, for me, and I guess a lot of people, are like, well, there's only one way really to run it, and that's in the last 10% of the gain. Because everything else it sounds
just kind of
pretty
like
average.
Over it. Yeah.
Yeah. But this FET breaker, it's really dynamic, even on the low parts of the gain, and that's where you get it just brings out your guitar, and it's just a great little pedal. So yeah, and I've got the prototype.
They're really affordable too.
Oh crikey, yeah. He's just started. I mean, he used to do them all on just on strip board, but he's actually recently, in the last few months, he's moved over to actually producing his own PCBs, and has just started a PCB range of kind of a more stock range. So, which is great. It's really good to see. So, I'm all over that. But I've got one of his original FET breakers.
Cool.
So that's number 3.
And if you're trying to find those, it doesn't appear, I could be wrong, but it doesn't appear that he actually has a proper website. It looks like everything is being sold either on like Facebook or Reverb.
I believe you can buy through, I want to say Break the Machine, but there's one of the UK distributors, which I can't remember which one it is, but I think he sells through, I can't remember, but I think he's got a distributor somewhere in the UK.
You'll find something. If you look it up, you'll find something. Don't,
DM him. He's a really, he's a nice, lovely guy. He'll reply if anybody's interested.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll see if I can. Do you know him personally?
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. Maybe we can get him on the show or something. That'd be fun.
He'd be great to have on the show.
Okay, so how about that was number 3 still.
That was number 3.
We got one more to go. Holy mackerel.
And Strymon Blue Sky. I know it's kind of like a ubiquitous choice these days, but it just does everything you need, really. If you don't need anything, super fancy and shimmery and crazy, it's almost just a workhorse, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Right there, sat on the end of your chain, boom.
Yeah,
does what it says on the tin.
Even though that's several years out, it's still,
I know.
You can't deny goodness,
No, absolutely, yeah. I mean, those guys have, and there's some really. The thing is, Strymon are keeping it are still very much in connection with what everybody's looking at and what everybody's using. But this thing, still, you see it on hundreds of boards all the time.
Yeah.
But,
when
I'm
we
looking
do
forward
these,
to hearing their.
when we do, when we do these 4 on the floors, as you well know, I mean, I can't. At least 1 out of 3 has the Flint. Or the El Capistan or the Blue Sky on it. It's like it's almost a given.
I wish more people used the Deco though. That's
I love
a pedal
the
that
Deco.
I really like the look of. Have you got one? I haven't got one yet.
I haven't either. It's too expensive.
Yeah.
It's a special need pedal to me, and I love the sound of it though. When we had them on the show, they sent us a whole box of these pedals, which was I mean, like. Oof. When you get a chance to just spend a couple weeks, it's like, oh, here's like all of their amazing pedals.
Everything,
I get.
I'm really intrigued by this this bucket brigade, big. Blimey, it's easy for you to say, isn't it? Bucket brigade. You know what I mean?
Brigade.
Yay.
The brigade.
It's like Todd and solder.
Yes.
yeah. Well, don't get me started on the L. It looks really intriguing. I haven't heard any tones from it yet. Don't know even whether it's been properly released, but everybody's going, BBD mad, aren't they?
Yeah. And I think this one's a tougher sale because, yes, it is Strymon. Yes, it is a smaller enclosure. Yes, we know it's going to do like any sound that you can possibly think of in that realm without getting bananas. But there's also hundreds of other pedals that do that that aren't, $275.
I guess it's the digital control, the MIDI control. Same with the Boss.
Yeah.
Because they brought something out very, very similar, and that's got digital controls over the brigade. I just, never mind, over the chip.
Yes.
And and I think that's the thing that Strymon will probably bring to the table as well. So I guess it's the flexibility.
Can you, for those listeners who aren't as familiar, would you mind giving your take on what exactly Bucket Brigade means?
Okay, so you've got it was the first kind of iteration of delay technology back in the 70s, where these chips it's almost like a sampling chip. So it would take the sound that came into it and just snip it that part and then just repeat it. And you can adjust the repeats and what have you. And it's a very analog. There's nothing. It's turned into ones and zeros, and they've got quite a limited use. Really, they're not as flexible as digital, but they have a sound that every digital delay pedal has a setting on it to try and emulate. And there's a reason why people want to try and emulate it, because it just sits with your guitar so well. And it doesn't get in the way, and it changes in flavour as the delays tail off, which is a very, very musical thing. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think, these guys are getting to the point where they're saying, well, why do we need to emulate it? Why don't we just use them?
Yeah.
And surround them by modern technology.
Yeah, and really effective controls like the filter and the mod. I mean, just messing around with those two things on their own. Oof.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, I've heard people playing the Boss. I forget the number of it now, but the new Boss BBD machine, and it sounds phenomenal. And quiet as a mouse. One of the things with those chips is that they were quite noisy. So Boss, they have voodoo doctors in their lab, don't they? I think that just do stuff, potions and wizards and all that stuff, and it comes out the other end and it's just silent. So, there we go.
Remarkable stuff. So I did want to do a quick update. I was close. It's not shinny, but obviously that's the really old, extremely unobtainium type effects units. But this is Shin's music. That makes the Dumbleoid. They were famous for making the Dumbleoid.
Okay.
It's got the label tape all over it. It's everything looks like a prototype, but it's like the most expensive prototype you're gonna purchase. Anyhow, those are a favorite of Joey Callio from Seven Horses.
That's
a
right.
friend of ours who's been on the show many times. Okay, so that's a fantastic 4 on the floor. That's setting us up nicely for some really great pedal news. So I'm going to give you guys the floor and just take it away, huh?
Okay. Well, if you've been following my Instagram, you'll probably know that my daughter Izzy Reeves has joined me, and she's together. We've been putting together a range of pedals which she's building, and that's what she's been up to this week, really. So maybe you want to fill people in on what you've been up to.
Lots and lots of painting and wearing old clothes, covered in pink.
Yeah, there's a lot of pink going on.
Yeah, so that you've true to Reeves form, the inside is painted pink. Is it a particular pink that you went for?
We did pick a particular pink. We went through a few. I think it's called Frozen Raspberry. Is that the one?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it only fitting. I mean, Dad's general colour trends towards the lime green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had to go pink.
Yeah, it's almost like a sorbet
no other choice
color.
Really.
It is, yeah. And what with the Barbie film coming out this week?
Oh, how fitting. Yeah. I can't get away from the Barbie film. It's everywhere.
It really is. And I don't know if you have this over there, but ours is the Barbenheimer, because Oppenheimer released at the same time. So
people are doing double feature.
So, it's crazy.
I think after Oppenheimer, you need to see Barbie.
But think about this. Cinema sales down for a long time, and then all of a sudden, people are buying double what they would have in one of the biggest release weekends in recent years. Kind of remarkable. So anyways, enough about that. They get enough press.
Yes.
We're here to talk about you. So it is a gorgeous looking pedal. I love that you picked a slightly different shape for the box, which is unique, which we love everything that's unique.
Yep.
I love that you have chosen different colors, and this one is not the suspended point to point kind of construction
Sculpture.
that your dad does. Yeah, it is a sculpture. It's artwork.
Yes.
And that's A-okay. And that actually, this is going to make things maybe accessible to people that couldn't get into those.
Yeah, I mean, I'll stick in here that the PCB thing has always interested me, and but I didn't want to kind of do something myself that took away my time and my concentration on the point-to-point stuff. And you've been hanging around for
a while, a
long
while.
Years. Yeah, a couple of years, just testing things, and it's just been really natural, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now,
this is a sort of step, I suppose. It just sort of carried on from testing things to trying things, I suppose.
Yeah, building them up. So it was a very big leap, because Izzy, she took to soldering really quickly, the ridiculously shattering.
She took to what again?
Soldering.
Thank you.
Silent L. It's a silent L.
Thank you.
Solder.
We know what's going on, don't we, guys?
That means something completely different in the UK. So,
yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's not going there.
I have a quick question. You just mentioned the PCB boards, and I want to. I think when we say PCB, the first thing we think of is this mass-produced thing that's made in China and it comes back and they all look the same. These are.
Your phone. Yeah.
What do you call this type of layout?
I mean, I guess it's still PCB, but it's old school.
Yeah, it's like the
PCB,
is it trace? I want to say it's like tracers, where the lines are literally drawn. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, these generally look like the circuit boards from the
vintage
late
circuit
60s.
boards. Yeah. So there is you haven't given up on any aesthetic that you
it's
have
essential to
known
us.
for. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, I personally appreciate that. That's something else that makes these special.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Again, sorry if I keep butting in for it, talking about it for
It's
Izzy,
your show,
but,
butt in.
It's just, I think, I mean, I'm a massive fan of Beatronics.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody doesn't know, swing over to Instagram and check out, I think it's just at Beatronics. And their circuit boards are a piece of art. I crack open the back of any of their pedals and it looks as good on the inside as it does on the outside. And my kind of philosophy on that is there are certain players, and it's not everybody, but certain players, and it's like driving a car as well, that you get a good feeling that takes you to a place of openness and creativity when when you're really feeling it for your equipment.
Yeah.
And some people just, to know that they've got so much commitment and so much effort and time and thought have gone into what they're playing through takes them to that place.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what I am as a player, and that's what I want to put into the stuff that I do. And I think Izzy is, the same, mentality that you've always been crafty, haven't you? You've always loved making stuff.
For sure. And I think for our sake too, not just, people looking at it, the design process is part of the fun, and seeing things slot together. It starts off with one idea, then you have a few and you figure out how to put it together, and then when it's all in this little box, nice and neat, it's just very satisfying.
Yeah. So I mean, Izzy is pretty much in control of the art that goes on the front of the pedals as well. She screen prints them, she drills them, she paints them, does everything. So it's literally her. At the moment, I build the circuits, don't build the circuits, but I design the circuits.
Uh-huh.
And then she makes them up.
Now,
I mean, I always enjoyed a good puzzle, so it's like a very fancy puzzle to put together.
That's a great way of putting it. I mean, it really is, and anybody that's taking the time, even if you're not a professional builder and you get a kit or something, it is magical, and you can get lost in it, and it's a great place to get lost, because I think, I don't know, Izzy, if this is the same for you. It might be different if this is your the thing that you do all the time, like your dad. But for those of us who don't do this all the time, we're so inundated with things coming at us all day long, every day, and that is a great place to kind of get lost for a while and have your mind to yourself. And I personally enjoy it. So I'm curious, does that happen for you, or?
I think so. Yeah. Like, as I say, I like a puzzle and that sort of thing. I just have always found it very therapeutic,
Yeah.
Starting with, pieces and ending up with a whole thing, and it sort of ends up, you look back at it and you're like, wow, that just happened.
Yeah. Now, this is called the Darlington Flyer, and you clearly have, well, it may not be clear to everybody, but it appears to be a train wheel assembly on the front. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. What is the significance of the name?
So the transistors involved. Okay, there's two transistors. It's a single transistor fuzz, but you can switch between one of two very different sounding transistors. One of those transistors is called a Darlington transistor. It's the makeup of the transistor. It's a little bit like two transistors in one, to be honest. And that was the first iteration that we had before we decided to put in a second transistor to switch to. And that was the point at which the Darlington Flyer was kind of mooted. And then the second transistor we put in was the type of transistor was a bipolar junction. And kind of the train thing sort of fell into place, you know. And then we just ran, well, you just ran with it, really. Yeah. Then Izzy came back and was like, oh, I've got all these blueprints of, you know, we were looking up all sorts of things. We were searching the internet one night, weren't we?
Yeah, Googling for a long old time. But no, it was the blue because we were deciding on colours too.
Yeah.
Because this screen prints are something else that's different from Dad's. So we were deciding what colour to go with. And it was like, oh, well, you know, a blueprint.
Yeah,
so
literally
blue.
a blueprint color.
Yeah. And so we found some blueprints of old steam trains and played around with those for a while and eventually came up with this little, you know, what's on the front.
It's really clever because, I mean, you're switching tracks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
It's
I
very
like
clever.
that. Yeah. And we've got there's a voicing switch as well, and you've got like up is the fat controller, and down is the narrow gauge. And obviously the fat controller is the big, bassy, full on, and the narrow gauge is, you know, more, I wouldn't say treble boosty, but it's kind of got that slightly skinnier tone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, how long was the time that you guys spent on, you know, this? But actually, maybe preface. Can I preface that question? I do want to hear how long the process was, but I know that you mentioned she's been hanging around and checking this stuff. What was the point where you said, "Let's do this"?
It's difficult to actually pin it down, really. You were, it's probably 3 years now since you've been testing transistors. I mean, you always found testing transistors quite therapeutic. Didn't you?
Yeah.
So,
Had to turn off the little beep on the machine though, because that got on my nerves.
But I guess the point at which we decided that I think there was a time when I just sort of said, "Oh, Izzy," I was just curious how Izzy could solder, and I got a practice board and just said, "Oh, fill in these holes with solder," and literally, she just did it.
That's great.
And I'm like fuming because that took me 10 years to get to that point.
I did have an incident years ago at school of burning my finger with a soldering iron, though, badly.
Yeah, so you knew how hot they
wood
are.
shop. Yeah, so I was, scarred.
Scarred for life.
You know, we overcome. I suppose.
So I think that was the point at which I thought, wait a minute, because she's my daughter, and obviously you kind of treat your children, you know, with she's my baby, you know, to be 23 now, but you know, I'm like, you know what it's like.
I do. I call my daughters that all the time. Like, I'm just, and I said, look, I don't care. You get mad, whatever, but that's how you're always going to be. So get used to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and there was the point where I was like, oh, wait a minute, you know, I tried soldering this component in here and yeah, all right, boom. Okay. that's very professional looking.
Yeah.
And really, I just kind of was like, oh, okay, right, but just hold the line caller, and came back with a.
I think things just gradually sort of slotted into place, like one at a time, rather than it like all of a sudden being some like can't put a date to it sort of thing.
Yeah,
it was just
absolutely.
sort of a very gradual, and then there was an idea, and then
yeah. So the circuit itself, Izzy, was this your idea? Or did it come from Markus?
No, I mean it's my. I put the circuit together, but so I kind of and so the boards themselves, the design for that was mine, and that was then been was kind of transferred to a production ready artwork, if you like, by a good friend of mine who produces PCBs, but the circuit itself, no, it's my.
Was it something that you'd been sitting on for a while that was maybe going to make it into your line, or?
Yeah, I've got hundreds of them. Yeah, there's sketchbooks full of stuff. They're all tweaked classic circuits. Let's be honest. There's very few original fuzzes, so they're all kind of little building blocks of different, places from here and there. And
it's like beer. It's like there's four ingredients. Like there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ways to interpret that.
Yeah. So so it was my circuits, but that I think that will be something that as Izzy becomes kind of, I don't want to say autopilot, becomes much more au fait with the process of building the pedals. I think the natural progression will be that she moves up the line in the process of making pedals to voicing, to designing, and all that sort of stuff. So I can't see that that's out of the realms that at some point in the rate she's going with the way she's improving in all aspects of of this thing, I don't think it'll be long.
That's fantastic.
So, yeah.
Now, having done these, and I know you're still working on them, if you go to the website, it says you're sold out. And I imagine you're going to be doing the same kind of release with these moving forward as you do with yours.
I mean, the first release is we just announced the date just the other day.
Yeah.
It's the 12th of August, Saturday the 12th of August. Will be the first 10 going out. I think it's 10.
Yeah, it's 10, yeah. And then, but we the plan is that these, because they're, once we get going, we'll be able to make a few more. They're not as time consuming as my ones are. The first 10 is just kind of like dipping our toes in the water, really, just to make sure they get, a good reception. And then we'll follow it up probably with another 10 quite soon after that, and then look at, making some, bigger numbers as as time goes. There's other pedals as well in the pipeline. So,
well, that was my next question. Did you naturally say, this is awesome, wait, my mind is already going towards the next couple, or can you
I think we immediately went off on it before we even finished, designing the Darlington Flyer. There was immediately 3 more. Yeah. Were.
Can you give us hints to where those might, without giving too much away?
Well, there's so there's a pedal that I've had kind of bubbling away in the background, which was a kind of slimmed down version of the Leo, which is my point to point tweed voiced overdrive, and that has lots of settings on it. You can get a really wide gamut of from wide open sort of high power twin all the way down to a little tweed champ, kind of boxy sounding thing. You can get all sorts of things. And I've been kicking around the circuit that I'm going to call the Leo 12, that I was going to do point to point, but I think it would suit what Izzy does really well. So that'll be it'll be like a Tweed Deluxe in a box, basically. I mean, it's something that's been done before, but I've got a couple of little takes on it. Tweed Deluxe has been my go-to amp for 15 years. So I know the thing inside out, and I genuinely don't think the essence of that amp has been captured in a pedal yet. So,
well, all right.
So that's the Leo 12, which is probably the next in line. And then one called the Facet, which is a take on... Okay, so we've got the Fuzz Face circuit, which has been used in, and we call it the Fuzz Face circuit, but it's really just a common amplifier. But it's been used in the Fuzz Face, it's been used in the Vox Tone Bender, it's been used in the Solar Sound 1.5 fuzz, it's been used in brain blank. But anyway, it's a circuit that's had many iterations. Mm-hmm. And so the Facet will cover those iterations. So we'll do a different color version of the Facet, depending on the different, and they've all just slightly different values within the circuit to give a very different sounding fuzz, but it uses the same circuit. And Izzy's idea was... Which
is also kind of where the smaller batches of transistors come in, in the beginning when I was just testing and grading transistors into, number values, and there was like only certain amounts of certain, gradings being used. And
I mean, I've got boxes of 10, 15, 20, 50 transistors that Izzy was like, what are you going to do with these? And I'm like, I don't know, there's not enough for me to produce a range, And she's like, well, we'll do something with those. And that's where that came from. So each run might have a different set of transistors in them.
Wow.
So that would be really interesting. So it'll be the Facet, and there may be 4 iterations. And then within those iterations, each release might have a BC183 in them, or a BC108, or a 2N222. And they all sound slightly different. So I don't quite know how we're going to get around doing demos of those so people can hear them, but that's a hurdle we need to address.
Right.
But
a lot of that comes out in not just what's translating into a signal, electronically to like a demo or a computer or something like that. But I find that those pedals, the magic in them is like what's happening to your actual ears as it's coming from the speaker, as it's reacting with your guitar and other pedals and your amp. I mean, there's so much more going on.
Yeah, and I mean it's and to non-guitar players and non-fuzz players even, when you say how it feels in the hands, it's a really abstract thing to say until you've sat in front of a very loud amp with a really good fuzz. And then suddenly you realise that, I understand entirely. I don't have to hit the strings, or I do have to hit the strings, or all those things come into it and make it either play itself, or you need to dig something out of it.
And that just makes me think of when you watch someone play a theremin, there are factors that almost they don't make sense. People are just moving their hands, and you're getting this just huge range of not only tone, but of way that the sounds are like colliding into each other and on all kinds of stuff. And it's like, so if you got that big fuzz cranked up in front of an amp, there is that aspect of like this stuff is crashing into each other in unique ways.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, entirely. It's a it's a very it's the sonic part of it, whether you listen to, is only a very, very small part of it. I think there was a recent Chris Buck, who does a brilliant YouTube thing called Friday Fretworks, was talking about his rig, and people were saying, well, they've got this shy of all these pedals and all these things and all these different tones and all the bits and pieces. Your audience aren't going to be able to tell the difference between whether you're playing a blues breaker or a tube screamer. And he said, but I will, and the audience will know when I'm not enjoying myself. And I think that's the key, is that, yes, of course, the audience won't be able to tell sonically, but you can as a guitar player, and you've got to get in that place to be able to serve your audience. I think that's a really important thing that a lot of people overlook.
I would agree with that, and because that's one of the disappointing things is if you get something that you think is going to do something, not just sound like something, and then it doesn't. It's just like, oh, how really? But then when you get something surprising that you're not expecting, you're like, oh, whoa, this is I didn't even know this was gonna do this because I couldn't hear it in the demo.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Like, to be honest, like the Greer Super Hornet, I had that moment when I plugged that in. I was like, wait a minute, this is not what I was expecting, and it was far better,
Yeah.
It sounded
if you
like
start
the
playing
demo.
around with your tone knob, when you got the octave cranked in front of that, and then you start messing around with your tone, it's like that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. All the magic.
So that's the thing. Yeah. So we've got lots of plans.
Izzy, I want to find out from you. I hope I'm not painting you in a corner here, but the world of pedals, I got lambasted several years ago because I made the point. We were talking about guitar builders, and I said something about a certain group of people that there aren't very many of, and I'm not even going to say it out loud because I honestly
don't even think it.
I can't protect myself against that many rocks again. But
rocksfortodd.com.
Yeah, it is. You're sort of holding a unique position right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something really thought about until it was like, oh yeah, I suppose that's the thing. I mean, it's the same as anybody else, and I think that's sort of, it speaks for itself. Really. Like, I don't have a unique view or position on it. It just sort of, this is what happened. It just so happened that there's not many women.
People like yourself.
Women!
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, I don't understand people, have views on these things. No, I don't really have kind of like, there's no line of separation for me. It's just, do your hands work?
Right.
Can you do this?
Are you a person? Do your hands work?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, get working then.
Yeah.
But no, it's a beautiful thing, and I think that.
I definitely acknowledge the fact that like it's a unique position, but I didn't originally think of it that way. I suppose.
Yeah. I don't think it's something that is attractive or it's not attractive in the kind of aesthetic sense, but as a career move.
Right.
And I don't, electronics generally are kind of the world of, the geek. Mm-hmm. And I suppose we're chipping away at that one, one pedal at a time. So,
yeah. And slight divergence. How in the world did being somebody who's very, very interested to the point of obsession translate from a person who cuts the head off of a chicken on a farm? I don't understand that. How did that happen?
I'm sorry, I've lost that one.
No, those were called geeks.
Yes. Okay, that's not an English. Right. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how that.
I didn't even know that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the only reason I know that is one of my early bands. I had this guy who wrote the lyrics and stuff, and he was a fantastic lyricist. He really was. He was a terrible singer, but but he gave it his best. He gave it his best. And I remember there was a line in there, and the first time we heard it, and he said, "For every chicken, there's geek," and I'm like, I just kind of like stopped, and I'm like, the hell is that? What are we singing about here?
Yeah.
And then I had to look, I'm like, what does this mean? And so anyways, divergent.
Maybe it's a thing that rhymes with beak.
Could be.
I don't know. You've lost it. I have no words, Todd.
It's okay. According to some, I have all of them. So
many words.
Yeah.
Many words.
So Izzy, I think as a new builder, and I'm going to kind of parlay this in from where we were on our last episode, where we have so many more tools and so many more things to get ourselves into this world. Any words of encouragement for young builders or people that are interested in getting into this?
Just do it. Yeah. I mean, I was in quite a privileged position in that aspect, I suppose, because I didn't have my own tools. I just sort of like nicked them.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. And then got me to buy some.
Yeah.
And now he's jealous of my toolkit. So
actually, I've got tool envy because all of mine kind of all the learning curves that I've gone through. And I've still got some tools that are right pain in the butt, but I still use them. And so all those kind of lessons have been learnt when I've repeated the toolkit for Izzy, and which I keep meaning to do a little feature on Instagram about, actually. So that may well come up soon. But yeah, she's got some, and they're all black handled as well. They look so cool. So yeah, anyway, sorry.
yeah. On that note, I suppose just figure out what you need, figure out what you want to do, and just go for it.
Yeah, literally. I mean, I suppose it's the same with any hobby. Just don't be scared of it. You know, just get on and crack on, and don't feel the peer pressure to be doing stuff that is.
You don't have to be good at stuff you enjoy either, which is something that, like,
that's really wise.
Yeah, I mean, like,
That's kind of like your musical career, Todd.
yeah.
Hey. Hey.
No, Todd is actually very good.
Stop it. Well, Izzy, I think we've got. I don't want to downplay that. That honestly was really wise.
Yeah.
Will you say that one more time for everybody, Izzy?
You don't have to be good at the stuff you enjoy.
You just have to enjoy it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really love
Yeah.
that. I don't know that I've heard that phrased as eloquently as that. Thank you.
It's kind of like dance as if no one else is watching.
Kind of.
Sort of.
Yes.
Exactly.
Slightly less cheesy.
Yes. Live, love, laugh.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
So for those who are keeping score, the first Reeves Electro was episode number 235.
Yes.
That's
Go back
from-
and listen to that.
That's from September of 1921. No, 2021.
Yes.
I lost 100 years there somehow. Izzy, if you could build a pedal for a musician, who would it be and what kind of pedal?
Ouch.
We have to ask some tough questions here.
Okay.
Oh, God.
I don't think even I could answer that, actually.
Well, you'll be next.
Yeah.
We'll give you 2 minutes.
Who was the
Well,
first thing that came to your head?
Flyer, obviously. I don't know who. I mean,
You could just say a band, even.
Yeah.
that's difficult because I could say, I mean, this week I have been so into the Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I could also go with a, classic like Jimi Hendrix or something of the sort. Just so difficult.
There's a lot of choices out there.
There's a lot of choices.
That's for sure.
I might be able to make a little connection there if you want to. So
With Jimi Hendrix.
yeah, seriously.
Are you there, Jimmy? Are you there?
Todd's
no.
a close personal friend.
Not Jimmy. Not Jimmy. Yes, I have quite the seance kit. Anyways,
we have many friends with the Pumpkins.
Yes. So how about you, Markus?
Oh yeah, I'd probably really like to build. Again, that's a really tough question actually. But probably, I'd like to have a go actually at a big muff for Billy Corgan. I guess
Yeah, yeah.
That'd be a really interesting thing. It's a circuit that I've dipped in and out of occasionally, but I'm very much more kind of versed in the fuzzies of the 60s and early 70s, and the big muff is something that always intrigues me, so it'd be interesting. That'd be a really interesting project. And he's got a very specific take on that sonic kind of destruction from that circuit, really. So yeah, that would probably be.
I would actually love to see what he could do with the Black Cat sound, personally. But
yes, that would be.
so
that's
powerful.
cool. It is a big sounding machine, that one. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, excellent. You guys have been a joy to talk to as per usual. But you're not off the hook so quick.
No,
We've got
no.
a really good Would You Rather for you.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
and
okay.
we get multiple answers from you now because both of you are sitting there.
Yes.
So without further ado, we're going to kick up the old El Camino.
No.
Huh?
We're kicking up the Mini Cooper this
Oh,
week.
we're in the Mini Cooper.
Excellent.
All right.
Don't make you horny.
So, at this point of the show, Todd, is a little game we like to play called Would You Rather?
All right.
This week, in honor of our friends at Reeves Electro, you're in central London, and you've heard that if you bring an American guitar over, you can really do some really great trading down on Denmark Street.
Aha.
Well, you have a gig bag with a nice U.S. Fender in there, and unbeknownst to you, you are approached by an appropriator, or a tea leaf, as we like to say.
Okay.
Do you speak Cockney English?
Me?
Thief.
Yes, it's a thief. He says,
I only hear like thieving bastard.
well, we could say tea leaf.
Okay, a tea leaf.
We're going to do some Cockney
Sure.
English rhyming.
There we go.
English Cockney
Yes.
rhyming.
Yeah.
He says, "Hey, mate, what you got in the bag?"
Is that your best?
That's about my
Not
best.
bad. That's not bad. Yeah, Dick Van Dyke.
I'd like to hear it. Yeah, Dick Van Dyke, the worst British. Izzy, could you be the thief really quick?
It sounded a bit more pirate.
Yes.
Hi, could you be our thief for a moment? What's in the bag?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
What's
Yes.
the thief saying?
What you got in the bag?
Oh, what you got in the bag?
That's a
I
very
think-
that's a very
pretty
friendly
scary.
thief.
The least menacing thief we've ever encountered. Yes. Okay, go ahead.
And I said, "Well, I'm just here. I'm going to trade this for something." And the thief says, "No, you're not. You're giving it to me. Now get out of here and pretend you never saw me."
Okay. This is so cringy.
Yes. My apologies in advance to our British listeners. So, you do what any tourist does. You look for the nearest police box. And you see one, literally half a block down the street. But it's not just any police box. No, It's a blue police box.
Aren't they all blue?
Some of them.
Okay.
Many of them.
Do they still have police boxes?
I think so.
Let's pretend they do. Let's pretend they
Yes,
do.
we do. Yes, there's lots of places.
Well, certainly, if they don't have them anymore, it makes my story much more implausible.
Yes.
So you enter
They're
in,
everywhere.
and it's not just a police box; it's the TARDIS from Doctor Who.
Oh, no.
And for those who don't know what a TARDIS is, it is the time and relevant dimension in space machine that the Doctor Who gets to travel through time, space,
Yes.
and dimension.
Quantum leaping.
Yes. Well, this particular one lands you back, 48 years or so, back in 1975. Same spot. You're on Denmark Street. Oh, there's a couple of shops there still.
Perfect. You might not even notice there's a difference.
So you walk into the
you
first store you see obviously your guitar is gone. It's a very sad day, and you explain to the proprietor that you've been a victim of apple bobbing. Your guitar was nicked. Do you know what apple bobbing is, Todd?
Robbing.
Yes.
He's in Barney.
There is a copyright
He's in
and some
Barney. I
quiz
get
in
it.
a
I
minute.
get it.
And the proprietor says, "Chin up, mate. I understand. We hate to see that happen to a good tourist like you."
Is he French too?
Yeah, we spot French and pot. This is the Denmark Street French guitar shop.
Oh, this is terrible.
Officer of the law.
My minky.
Is that your minky? So he says, "Tell you what, let's go out back." I'm not going to do the. I'm not
Just
doing it
talk.
anymore. I'm just going to
Let's
talk.
talk. I'm not going to make it through
Let's
this.
get apples and pears.
So apples and pears. You go down the apples and pears in this case, because out back he has his motor car. It's an old Banga, and he opens up the boot, and inside are 3 pedals. Now keep in mind this is 1975, so these 1960s era pedals really aren't worth much. He says, "I want you to have one of these, just to make your day a little bit brighter." In his boot are an original Sola Sound Tone Bender Mark I, a Dallas Arbiter Fuzz Face, and a JMI Rangemaster Treble Boost. You get to take one, jump back in the TARDIS, go back to your 2023, and be very happy. So
Right.
the question is, would you rather have the Tone Bender, the Fuzz Face, or the Rangemaster, and why?
Okay, so one more time. The which one? What's the list? And this is all out of the back of a Morris Marina, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So you have the Sola Sound Tone Bender Mark I,
Right.
the Dallas Arbiter Fuzz Face, or a JMI Rangemaster Treble Boost.
All very different looking.
All very different looking.
So not to be confused,
And different sounding,
and
too.
very different sounding.
And different prices.
Different, but all quite expensive by now.
By now.
Current standards.
Yes.
Very, very expensive.
Some, yes.
Yes. That's very interesting. Okay. Well, Tanya,
Yes.
you've been the first one who's been accosted. What are you going to do?
I don't know. I just don't know. I'm taking all 3. No, I'm not going to take all 3. I think I am going to take out of this group, I think I'm going to go with the Tone Bender. Because I have a really nice Rangemaster already from our
Amp top, like true from R2R.
Yeah,
We both
R2R,
have that.
and
yeah.
that's a really, really nice thing. I've never been a real fan of the Fuzz Face, but the ones that I played were more reissues than anything.
Yeah.
So I've never had a Tone Bender. I'm going to grab the Tone Bender, hop in the TARDIS, and come on home.
Hopefully.
Maybe.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Izzy, how about yourself?
Well, for myself, I don't need one, so I can. Dad can have two. I can take the tone bender, hop in the TARDIS, and have Dad's birthday gift ready.
Perfect.
Nice.
Perfect.
I like that.
Marcus, how about you?
Well, I've already got a Mark 1 time bender now, so I'm going to have the first face. Yeah, Fuzz face. Yeah, absolutely, because it's just iconic, really, and everyone was different as well. So I think it's and if it's a crap one, I can use it to keep doors open.
That's right.
Yes, or fend off any further tea leaves.
Yeah, exactly, or make B movie UFO movies with it.
Yes. Yes. I'm gonna also take the Fuzzmaster.
The Fuzzmaster?
The Fuzzmaster. Hey, go build that pedal, Marcus.
Oh, I might make one of them. That'd be
like
interesting.
A Fuzzmaster Mark 1.
Yes.
Yeah. Fuzzmaster.
No, I'm gonna go with the Fuzz Face too, and that's Hello Sailor. Gifted me his own version of the Fuzz Face, and it's weird because he made it, and and it sounds better than any of the ones that I've heard before, and that made me just kind of realize, to your point, like the older ones, there's a lot of variance in those things as opposed to some of the other ones that are more controlled. And so I'm going to go with that because I think that'd be pretty cool, man.
Nice.
That's a great question, Tony. I'm glad you thought of all that stuff.
Yes.
You made it fun, as per usual.
Yes, I molded it like a Play-Doh.
Yes.
Could we get the car in the TARDIS as well?
You want one of those, do you? The Morris Marina.
Oh, well, and any car from that era now is worth, as much as a Mark 1 tone bender. So yeah,
at least.
Crazy. So anyways, we are going to thank a few people real quick, and then we're going to say goodbye to our good friends.
Yes, that's right, Todd. At this point of the show, we like to thank a special group of people. These are our executive producers. Now, what's an executive producer? Well, it's a person that makes this show possible. How do you become one? Go over to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs. Check out a couple different levels in which you can participate. Become a patron, a sponsor, a hero.
If you like this kind of stuff and you want to keep it going and you want to just help us out, we really appreciate that.
That's right. Check out a couple different levels, which you can you get some great stuff. And there's some prizes. You get entered into drawings.
Yes.
This is serious stuff.
Yes, we do amazing caricatures.
Yes. I love to make my drawings. Anyhow. There's all that great stuff, but there's one thing more. Jared, what is that?
You get to have your name read on the thing.
That is not Jared, by the way.
Yeah,
full disclosure. So that's right. That's what I'm going to do right now. So special thanks to these executive producers: Moon Guitars, Vader and Pedals, John Halverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Mikey D, Richard Kendall, Mark Garton, James White, Justin Jones, Anthony Gemolero, Bill Gola Guitars, John Esterle, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Senchuk, Ken Sayers, Doug Christ, Darren Gregory, Tom Brazen, Rusty Sneeden, Ralph Gottschalk, Don Kloss, Gregory Randall, Brett Hogarth, Eric Hemmer, Stuart George, Michael Furman, James Bell, James Romer, Cameron Pampas, David Tyndall, Trevor Ellenberg, and Christopher Logan.
All righty. Fantastic.
But wait, Todd, there's more, because there's a special group of executive producers. We call them our Grand Poobahs. They are given a fez to wear whilst listening to the podcast.
Yes, and extra goodies.
Yes, and many.
And if you will notice, they also get their own episodes.
They do from time to time.
Hey,
who could ask
incentive?
Who could ask for anything more?
That's right.
So special thanks to these Grand Poobahs: Tommy Manasco, Ricardo Iguereda, David Kaminga, Brandon Wound Pickups, Hex Matos, Michio Murakishi, Bob Crouch, Jack Cadian, Sam Jett, Tyler Rhines, LSJ Music Company, John Williams, James Pennington, Adam Johnson, Steve Keys, Cody Foster, Science of Sound, Brian Robinson, Jonathan Jerusik, Corey Nigro, Michael Van Zant, Tim Nowak, Jonathan Daly, Martin Cliff, Sean S. David Poe, Billy Spitfire Unlimited, Congregation Congregation Gear Demos, Paul Van Eppinger, Scott Sullivan, Great Lakes Guitar Pickups, and Matt Hart.
That is correct.
Thank ya.
Hey, also, Martin Cliff just released an album, everybody.
Oh.
Yeah, you should go to iTunes and check it out.
Oh, that's right. I think I saw a post of
Yes.
his.
Great friend of the show and a sweetheart of a chap who is a gear fiend.
Yes.
He's got a brand new album out, so go check that out. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to say a colossal thank you to Markus and Izzy Reeves.
Thanks very much for having us on, guys. It's always a pleasure. Yeah, great fun to be here. Thank you.
You bet. And Izzy, it's been a pleasure to meet you, and we congratulate you on your pedal release and your
Soldering skills.
and your soldering skills, and all the future awesomeness that's going to come forth from you.
Thank you very much. It was great to meet you guys as well.
You are welcome. And where can people go again to make sure that they get these awesome things?
That would be reeveselectro.co.uk or on Instagram at Reeves Electro.
Perfect. Tony,
And join the mailing list as well if you want to.
Oh, yeah,
you get
do
all
that.
the stuff.
Do that
all
for
the
sure.
stuff.
You will be,
Yeah.
you get first notice of anything cool, and everything is cool.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
Tony, where can people find you?
Head over to pickguardian.com. Check out some of the things that I do in terms of pick guards. But by and large, what I do is custom work. So shoot me an email. Let me know what you do, what you need, what you're trying to do, and I will. I'll make it for you. How's that sound?
Fantastic. You can shoot me an email, Todd at theguitarknobs.com. You can drop me a DM on Instagram at guitarknobs. And please go check out Flint Effects to protect your knobs.
Yes.
On your HX Stomp and other multi-effects units. And go listen to the Valentinos. We got a new single out. The
Yes.
Valentinos. Hands Tied is the new single. I think you're going to dig it. Let me know what you think.
Isn't it Hans Tide?
No, that's a totally different band.
That's another website entirely.
Yes. Thank you, Tony. Anyways, it's been a joy to talk to you. We can't wait to hear more from you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, have a fantastic guitar week and subscribe.
Oh, yeah.
Bye.
That sounds great. It sounds like you're calling from, if I get this right, a caravan a little bit.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, it's
because
the
we're quite a
rain.
long way away from the mic. That's why. Yeah.
But no, that's okay. And you're in a smaller room, so it's
And it's raining outside.
right. Gunga la gunga.
There's a very small proportion of the population that have any real emotional.
I don't think many of us give a toss, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah, exactly. That's pretty much the fact. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're not wrong. Bucket Brigade.
So, okay, well, anyways, happy times.
Yeah, there's a real uplifting
Sorry.
start. Thanks, Todd.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, yeah, cool. Okay,
Yeah.
well, big
Well, I'll cut that out. Hang on.
embarrassment. Yeah. Well, I've just finished quite a major coffee, and now I'm just on plain water, so we're all good.
Okay. And Izzy, you're on the hard stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's got Lemmy there in the corner. Big grade. No worries, guys. That was good fun. Yeah. Always a laugh, always a giggle.
Good. Izzy, was that at least some of what you expected?
Yeah, I didn't really come in with any expectations, but
Oh,
Good, you weren't disappointed then.
perfect. Yes, we aim
Awesome.
to barely satisfy. So that's
Yeah. Well, you succeeded.
yes.
For the brigade.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
And away we go.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.